grapple with. Right?
Exactly. And today we're exploring that very idea, this concept of a personal legend, and we're doing it through this really cool book, The Alchemist. You familiar with that?
Same time, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Such a classic. And for this deep dive, we're using a super detailed summary.
Awesome. So we can really unpack it all. And what's interesting is it's not just a straightforward adventure tale, is it? There's this whole other layer, this philosophical kind of spiritual element that runs through it.
Totally. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into. What are the core insights from this journey that can really help you, the listener, think about your own path, the pursuit of knowledge, meaning, all that good stuff.
Love it. So let's set the scene. Our main character, Santiago, he's a young shepherd, just living his life out in the fields of Andalusia with his sheep, content, with the simplicity of it all. But then,
this dream starts popping up.
Right. This recurring dream, it keeps pulling him towards these far-off pyramids, the pyramids of Egypt. And there's this promise of hidden treasure.
The initial spark. That disrupts his comfortable little world. It's like, boom, a seed of possibility gets planted. And that seed, it starts to grow.
It really does. And so naturally, he starts seeking answers, right? First, he goes to this local gypsy woman who's known for interpreting dreams. And then things get even more interesting. He meets this character, Melchizedek.
Melchizedek, yeah, who claims to be the king of Salem.
No way, the king of Salem. Okay, so already we're in intriguing territory, and it's this Melchizedek who drops this bombshell concept of a personal legend.
Yeah, he does.
So for our listeners, let's break this down. What's the essence of this personal legend? What does it really mean for Santiago and, by extension, for us?
Basically, it's your unique purpose, your reason for being, what you were always meant to achieve. It's that thing, that you've desired most deeply ever since you were a kid, that inherent calling.
Wow. Okay, I'm feeling this already.
And get this, Melchizedek gives Santiago these two stones, Urim and Thummim, they're called. And they're supposed to help him read omens, those little signs, those whispers from the universe, to help guide him.
Whoa, that's pretty cool. So imagine being Santiago, hearing this, and getting these mysterious stones. He makes a huge decision. He sells all his sheep, his entire livelihood, to chase this dream, this calling, all the way to Egypt. Talk about a leap of faith.
Total leap of faith. And
right.
It's a classic call to adventure, right? But you know what they say? When you step outside your comfort zone, adversity often comes knocking.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And in this case, it comes knocking hard. He gets to Tangier in Africa, and bam, he's robbed. Everything's gone. Can you imagine the despair, the doubt? Would you keep going after that?
It's a major setback, absolutely. But, even after losing everything, Santiago keeps going.
He does. Which is kind of amazing. It really shows you the power of desire, of being aligned with something you truly want. And what's interesting is the setback, it leads to an unexpected period of growth for him.
He ends up working for this crystal merchant in Tangier. And it's not just about making money to continue his journey. He really learns a lot during this time. It's a whole chapter of personal evolution for him.
What were some of the key lessons he learned during that period from this sometimes grumpy crystal merchant?
Well, one thing is patience. The merchant, he's pretty stuck in his ways, right? Not really open to new ideas. And Santiago, with his enthusiasm, he suggests things like selling tea in these crystal glasses. And eventually, it helps the business, but it takes time and persistence and understanding, where the merchant's coming from.
So it's not always about instant results. It's about navigating existing structures, rhythms. It's a process, which is super relevant to anyone trying to make changes in their own lives. It's not just about having the knowledge. It's about applying it patiently and strategically within the world you're in.
100%.
So after Tangier, his journey continues. He crosses the Sahara Desert, and there he meets this fascinating character, the Englishman.
The Englishman, who's completely engrossed in all these books about alchemy.
Alchemy. Now, that's a whole other level of intrigue. He's searching for this legendary alchemist, right? This alchemist who is rumored to be 200 years old.
Supposedly living out of the Alfayum oasis. Yeah.
So they team up, and this is where the story takes a turn towards, the symbolic, right? Because alchemy in this context isn't just about trying to literally turn lead into gold. It represents something much bigger, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Alchemy, here, it symbolizes personal transformation, that process of refining yourself, of shedding limitations to reach a more enlightened state.
I love that. Inner transformation, inner alchemy.
Right. And it mirrors Santiago's journey.
Yeah.
As he's confronting challenges and learning about himself. And eventually they reach the Alfayum oasis, which becomes a key location in this story.
Because it's there that he meets Fatima, right? And the alchemist himself. Okay, tell us about Fatima. What's her role in all of this?
Fatima. She represents true love, like real supportive love. Santiago falls head over heels for her. But what's amazing is their love doesn't hold him back. She gets it. She understands his purpose, his journey, and she encourages him to keep going. She trusts that their connection is strong enough to endure the distance.
Wow. It really flips the script on that idea that love means sacrificing your dreams, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So for you listening, think about the people in your life who truly support you, who want to see you flourish, even if it means facing some bumps along the way together. And then there's the alchemist himself. He's this, like, almost mythical figure. What kind of guidance does he offer Santiago?
So the alchemist, he's like this wise mentor, right? But he's also kind of mysterious. And he guides Santiago towards this deeper understanding of his quest. He teaches him about the soul of the world. Have you heard of that concept?
I have. It's about the interconnectedness of everything, right?
Right. The interconnectedness of all living things. This idea that there's a universal energy, a consciousness flowing through everything. He teaches Santiago to listen to his heart, to really tap into this interconnected energy, to trust the journey.
Fascinating. So the soul of the world, it's like this underlying energy that connects us all, like individual instruments contributing to one big symphony.
Yeah, something like that.
Beautiful. And their journey together with the alchemist, it wasn't always easy, right? There's a point where Santiago faces this huge test, this seemingly impossible task.
Oh, yeah. They get captured by tribesmen, and Santiago is challenged to transform himself into the wind. Can you imagine? To actually become the wind.
Whoa, how do you even begin to wrap your head around that?
And this challenge, it forces Santiago to connect with the soul of the world, to access this inner power that he didn't even know he had. And according to the story, he actually does it.
He turns into the wind.
He does. And it signifies this huge spiritual growth, this understanding of the interconnectedness of everything. So after all these challenges, all this growth, he finally reaches his destination, the pyramids of Egypt, the very place that his dream had been pointing to all along.
You think he finds his treasure after all this time?
Well, he gets there, excited, expecting to find this chest overflowing with riches, right? But what happens is he gets attacked, robbed, right there at the foot of the pyramids.
Ouch. Talk about anticlimactic.
But here's the twist. One of the robbers, he starts talking about a dream he had, a dream about treasure buried in an abandoned church in Spain.
Wait a minute. In Spain? Isn't that where Santiago started? Like way back in the beginning.
It is. It's the very place where he was tending his sheep before this whole adventure began. Full circle.
So the physical treasure he was seeking, it turns out it was back where he started the whole time. What an incredible twist.
It is, right. And this leads Santiago to a realization. The real treasure, it wasn't about the gold. It was about the journey itself. The wisdom, the growth, the transformation he experienced along the way.
That's so powerful. His personal legend, it wasn't just a destination. It was about who he became in the process of pursuing it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a big takeaway for all of us.
It is. So let's talk about that, this idea of a personal legend. It's a cool story, but how can our listeners connect with this idea in their own lives?
Yeah, it starts with listening to yourself. What are you drawn to? What lights you up inside? What have you always dreamed of doing, even if it seems crazy or impossible?
It doesn't have to be a literal dream like Santiago's, right?
Right. It's about that feeling, that pull towards something, that thing you can't ignore, even if you can't quite explain it.
Yeah. And what about this idea of the soul of the world? That the universe conspires to help you achieve your personal legend. That can sound kind of out there.
It can, but think of it in terms of alignment. When your actions, your intentions are aligned with your true purpose, it's like things start falling into place. You're more open to opportunities. You're more resilient when you face challenges. Support shows up in unexpected ways.
I like that. So it's not about like magical intervention. It's about the energy, the focus, the clarity you bring when you're really committed to something.
Right. And that can feel magical.
It can. The book also talks a lot about recognizing omens, those little signs. How can we do that in a way that's not just superstition?
It's about being present, paying attention, noticing those little synchronicities, those recurring themes that seem to pop up.
Like little whispers.
Exactly. And trusting your intuition, that gut feeling. Sometimes it's trying to tell you something.
That's a good reminder. And of course, there's the fear. Santiago faces a lot of fear throughout his journey.
Yeah. The fear of failure, the fear of the unknown, the fear of not being good enough. It's a big theme.
Huge. And the book seems to be saying, well, you have to face your fears. You can't let them hold you back.
Right. Courage is key. Taking that first step, even when you're scared. Believing in yourself and your path.
Love it. And what about the portrayal of love in The Alchemist? Through Fatima, what does that teach us?
It shows us a love that's supportive, that empowers growth. Fatima understands Santiago's dreams, and she wants him to go for it. It's not about holding him back. It's about wanting him to become the best version of himself.
So true. And just to touch on a few other elements, we have Melchizedek, who kind of sets the whole thing in motion.
The catalyst.
Exactly. And the Englishman, who represents this more intellectual approach. And then, of course, the alchemist himself. He's like the embodiment of wisdom gained through direct experience and all the symbolism, like the sheep.
Representing that comfortable but maybe unfulfilled life.
Yeah. And the desert.
Symbolizing the challenges of the inner journey.
And alchemy itself, representing that process of personal transformation. It all comes together so beautifully.
It does.
And the book leaves us with this incredible message. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it.
Powerful stuff. It's saying that when you're truly aligned with your purpose, when you're truly committed, the support you need will show up in ways you might not expect.
So, wrapping up our deep dive into The Alchemist, what's the core message for our listeners?
That the journey of pursuing your personal legend, your unique purpose, whatever it may be, it's a journey of self-discovery. And the greatest treasures, they're often found not in the destination, but in the process of becoming.
So well said. And that leads us to our final thought for today. What personal legend, however faint, might be stirring within you right now?
What small step can you take today to begin that journey?
Maybe the treasure you've been searching for is closer than you think, just waiting to be discovered.
Maybe it is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.